Has this ever happened to you? You're sitting at home, rewatching all of South Park for the 4th time because you have commitment issues and refuse to start a new show, when suddenly you notice something. In between the fart jokes and the big floppy donkey dicks, you realize that the episode you're watching is somehow making fun of something that wouldn't happen until years after it came out. As if the show somehow predicted the future. You start to pay attention to the episodes and realize that this isn't just a one-off occurrence. It's happening across multiple seasons. So you close your porn tab on the second monitor, open Google and do a search to see if anyone else has made the same discovery. But before you could even finish typing, a voice echoes from your speakers. Okay, look, you and I both know that The Simpsons has gotten very famous over the years for making jokes that seem to predict the future. Whether it's Donald Trump becoming president, Siegfried and Roy getting murdered, the formula for the God particle, whatever it is, you name it, and The Simpsons has probably predicted it somehow. But what you never hear about is how in the last few decades, South Park has done almost the exact same thing. Yet whenever the subject comes up, we only ever seem to acknowledge that The Simpsons did it. And that pisses me off, because I like South Park, and I think it deserves little credit for being so ahead of its time. So here's the plan. First, I'm going to show you some examples of how South Park predicted the future with one-off jokes just like The Simpsons has. And then, I'm going to show you how South Park did it in a way that even The Simpsons couldn't. An entire episode that's prediction is so accurate that it feels like it was made today. So strap in, because we're about to go back in time. And if my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 per hour, you're going to see some serious shit. Now, these smaller predictions I'm going to show you are cool, but they're just the beginning. They're kind of like timeshare, a small taste of the full meal. I gotta get your appetite going before I serve up the main course. So to start things off, let's take a look at what is probably the earliest prediction in the South Park catalog. This clip comes from the season 2 episode, Chef's Chocolate Salty Balls, where South Park hosts its first ever independent film festival. In the episode, when they're discussing independent films in class, Cartman says this.
Nah, dude, independent films are those black and white hippie movies. They're always about gay cowboys eating pudding.
Can you guess which gay-ass film this is predicting? That's right, it's Brokeback Mountain, the Academy Award-winning drama about two cowboys that suck each other off in a tent, which means that calling it gay is not derogatory, it's accurate. Now, I have no idea how Trey Parker and Matt Stone made this prediction. Keep in mind that this was in 1999, and the movie came out in 2005, so the fact that they got it this on point is just too perfect. Now, apparently, Brokeback Mountain did exist as a short story, so it is possible that they actually read it and figured out that it would eventually be adapted to a film, but even if that is true, the accuracy of the prediction is hilarious, because not only are they eating each other's pudding, it actually is an independent film that probably appeared in a small town festival just like the one in this episode.
Say, Tom, do you have any pudding left?
I ate all mine up, silly.
Well, and now what do we do? Well, why don't we just explore our sexuality?
Oh, good idea. Let's.
Oh, dude, I shouldn't be seeing this.
Now, this next prediction is admittedly not as accurate, but it is still very funny. In the season 6 episode, Jared Has AIDS, the show pokes fun at Subway and Jared Fogle for lying to fat people and making it seem like eating their sandwiches will help them lose weight, because apparently we all just knew absolutely nothing about nutrition 20 years ago. Trust me, as a certified fat fuck who's eaten his fair share of Subway, let me be the first to assure you that the diet doesn't work. There's probably just too many calories in the yoga mats that they put into their bread.
There's very little meat in these gym mats.
So the whole joke with this episode is that to actually lose weight, Jared barely ate any Subway at all and had to get help from his personal assistants, or aides, that helped him plan meals and commit to exercising. But when the kids tell Jared that he's lying to people by keeping his aides a secret, he decides to go public with the information.
The reason I was able to lose so much weight so quickly was that I got AIDS.
Huh? Did he say AIDS?
It's a great episode, which should be obvious because season 6 is literally perfect, but the prediction makes it especially hilarious. Because after people respond negatively to his AIDS announcement, Jared realizes that they're probably just upset that they don't have access to the same benefits that he does. So then he holds another conference where he says this.
I'm gonna seek out all the underprivileged and hungry children of the world, and I'm going to give them AIDS myself.
You're gonna give children AIDS?
Yes, it is my hope that every beautiful child on this earth has AIDS by next month.
And as we would all find out about 8 years after this episode aired, Jared really do be loving them children. So even though the kids in real life didn't actually get AIDS, somehow Trey Parker and Matt Stone managed to predict exactly how the world would feel about Jared today.
Get him!
Back Back in 2008, we lived in simpler times. YouTube was just getting started, Kanye West didn't love a lot of things about Hitler, and Hannah Montana was the biggest child star on the planet. See, back in those days, the big controversial singers were stars like Lindsay Lohan and Britney Spears. And Britney Spears especially was having a very public meltdown at the time. Now today, we know that Britney's mental health struggles are a direct result of the abuse she was taking from everyone that was looking to capitalize on her success. But at the time, people didn't really know any of that, and so we just did what we do best: consume bullshit media on the downfall of a celebrity that we're all obsessed with. But then, in truly based fashion, South Park decided to critique this obsession with the season 12 episode, Britney's New Look. In the episode, the boys see firsthand how dealing with the paparazzi and being forced to record music is actively killing Britney. In fact, that's exactly what happens at the end of the episode. It's a very dark retelling of the lottery, and it's honestly a pretty accurate portrayal of what we now know Britney has been dealing with throughout her life. But that's not the prediction. That's more of a commentary on the already existing culture around celebrities. The prediction part comes at the very end of the episode. After Britney Spears finally dies, the townspeople are at the supermarket and enjoying the corn harvest that came from her sacrifice. Yeah, this was a weird episode. And as they gather in the store, a TV news station starts broadcasting this report. Given that it's now been 16 years since this episode aired, it might be easy to forget that back in 2008, Miley Cyrus was only 15 years old. And at the time, she had a very wholesome and clean public image as the star of Hannah Montana. But just a few years later, after she started pursuing her own music career, that image started to drastically change. And from there, she seemingly followed in Britney Spears' footsteps by making the intentional decision to whore up her image. A feat that she accomplished with sexually explicit music videos and a live demonstration of what it looks like when a flat piece of paper tries to twerk. Thankfully, Miley seems to have escaped the more serious issues that have hurt people like Britney Spears, but the prediction that she would replace her in the obsession of the public eye, and that her career would follow a similar path, was dead on for the early 2010s. And if the weird, creepy ending tells us anything, it's that she probably won't be the last. Let me tell you a story. It's 2018 and you live in the UK, and for some inexplicable reason, you actually like KFC. So with great anticipation, you place an order for a bucket of fried chicken. The next day, you eagerly wait at your door for the mailman to come. And when he finally gets there, you receive that bucket of KFC that you bought on eBay for $100 and you dig into your cold meat. Can you guess which South Park episode I'm about to talk about? That's right, it's Medicinal Fried Chicken, the episode where KFC is comedically portrayed as a popular restaurant. The premise of the episode was that KFC was indirectly banned in Colorado, leading to a shortage of fried chicken and the creation of a KFC black market. Now, of course, because this is South Park, they take the concept to the extreme and treat KFC as a fill-in for Coke.
Oh my God, Colonel's popcorn chicken and honey mustard sauce! Oh God, yes! Where did you get that?
I have my sources. That'll be $85.
But the main prediction comes from the fact that in 2018, KFC had to temporarily close down over 800 stores in the UK due to a logistics screw-up. And even though nobody in real life was snorting chicken skins, a black market really did form and people were paying obscene prices for a sweet taste of that kernel. So yeah, there really was a bucket of KFC being sold on eBay for $100. Now the South Park episode came out in 2010, 8 years before the chicken shortage in 2018, which means that shockingly, South Park somehow predicted with legitimate accuracy that there are actually people who will eat KFC. How you feeling? Starting to fill up on appetizers yet? Ready for that main course? Can you tell that my voice is shot because I'm sick and I'm recording this part of the video later in the week? Well, good news. We're just about ready to talk about the big predictive episode of today's video. But before we do, I'd like to do a bonus round where I rapid fire 4 smaller predictions that South Park made to demonstrate just how often this actually happens in the show. So I'm gonna put up a little counter and we're gonna see how fast I can do this. Ready? Go. In the season 4 episode, Chef Goes Nanners in the year 2000, they predict a name change for the Cleveland Indians.
Chef, what about the baseball team, the Cleveland Indians, huh? Should they change their name because it's racist?
Yeah.
In multiple episodes, starting with season 5, Osama bin Laden is shown to be murdered via a gunshot to the head. In real life, he actually was murdered by a gunshot to the head. In the season 13 episode, Dead Celebrities, Billy Mays is selling a product called Chipotle that removes the blood stains that you get in your underwear from eating Chipotle. 6 years later, Chipotle had an E. coli outbreak across multiple locations, actually causing people to shit blood. And lastly, in the 2010 all-time classic Cream Fraiche, a news station reports in this story about Carnival cruises.
Passengers said the Carnival cruise line smelled like poop, but that was an improvement.
In 2015, that became a reality when a Carnival ship had its plumbing explode, causing it to literally smell like shit. And stop. All right, not bad. We got through that pretty quickly. Now, honestly, I could keep going because there are a lot more predictions that South Park has made over the years, but you could probably just find those on Google if you want. This next one, though, the entree of today's video, is not one I've seen on any list so far. And unlike all of the other examples that we've talked about today, this is an entire episode that is dedicated to a cultural sentiment that wouldn't take hold until over a decade after it aired. So without further ado, let's talk about the season 6 masterpiece, Death Camp of Tolerance. Alright guys, it's time we got serious. I'm scrapping all the planned jokes I had about butt sex and diving headfirst into this one. And no, that does not count as a joke about butt sex. I want you to think about the world that we live in today, especially how it's changed since South Park first aired on television. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, comedy was still going through its edgy phase. You could still get away with making offensive jokes, and if anything, it was kind of encouraged. Believe it or not, it was actually a very common occurrence for people to say retard on TV. Retard. On TV. Retard. But today, it's the exact opposite. People are more empathetic and sensitive to each other's feelings, so we're more likely to sanitize our comedy or even our opinions to avoid making anyone upset. You can call it outrage culture or woke culture or whatever you prefer, but the bottom line is we do things very differently now. We live in a world that goes out of its way to uplift identities that were previously marginalized, even if sometimes it seems like we take it too far. But that's also exactly the world that South Park described all the way back in 2003 with the episode Death Camp of Tolerance. The premise of the episode is that Mr. Garrison was given his job back as the 4th grade teacher after previously getting fired for being gay. At first, he's delighted by the news, but when he learns that it's become illegal to discriminate against sexual orientation in the workplace, he realizes that he can make millions of dollars by getting fired for being gay again.
Holy moly! I've got to find a way to get fired for being gay.
So when he starts teaching, he purposely tries to push things too far in hopes that the kids will complain to their parents so that he can get fired for being gay again.
Mr. Slave, put this rubber ball in your mouth. Take that, slave, you take it!
Naturally, the kids do complain to their parents, but instead of actually hearing them out, the parents get upset that their kids would be so intolerant. So first they take their boys to the Museum of Tolerance to educate them, and then when that fails, they eventually sign them up for Tolerance Camp, which is basically just a parody of the German death camp from Schindler's List.
You will finger paint what we tell you. Go! Faster. 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 Faster! Are you done? What is it? What have you done?
People of all colors and creeds holding hands beneath a rainbow.
Good! That wasn't so hard, was it? Now do it again!
Meanwhile, Mr. Garrison is making no progress on getting fired despite his ridiculous attempts because everyone thinks that any objection to his deplorable behavior is simply being intolerant. So to show their gratitude, they actually give him an award instead and call him brave and courageous.
Get along, little slave. He is so courageous. I'm very happy to get this award, but you know what makes me even happier? Sucking balls.
So just to recap, they're describing a world where kids are being exposed to sexual behaviors at an early age. This behavior is applauded for being beautiful and courageous in the name of tolerance. Anyone who disagrees answers to mob mentality, and Nazi Germany is used as a metaphor to describe social politics. And just for fun, they even point out how tolerance culture can be absolutely hypocritical.
Hey, what the hell are you doing?
Oh, I was just,
There's no smoking in the museum.
But I'm not in the museum.
Get out of here, you filthy smoker.
Yeah, dirty lungs.
Go ahead and kill yourself, stupid tar breath.
Dumbass, get out of here!
Sound familiar? Sound kind of like the world we've been living in for the last 10 years? Now, I'm not really much of a political guy, and I know that pointing these things out would probably make me sound like the quartering or something, but to me, this feels like a very accurate portrayal of what life has been like for the last 10 years. Look, I'm not trying to say that drag queen story time is the same as what Mr. Garrison was doing in his classroom, because it's not. Yes, it's obviously an over-exaggeration of things because it's South Park, but it's also true that the cultural shift towards acceptance has been so overwhelming that it's created moments where acceptance has taken priority over rational thinking. And for South Park to somehow nail this concept in an episode that aired over 20 years ago is amazing to me. That's something that The Simpsons has never done, a prediction with this level of detail that is the focus of an entire episode. And the best part is that because this is South Park, it has a lesson at the end of the episode, and that lesson is still perfect for us today.
Look, just because you have to tolerate something doesn't mean you have to approve of it. If you had to like it, it'd be called the Museum of Acceptance. Tolerate means you're just putting up with it. You tolerate a crying child sitting next to you on the airplane, or you tolerate a bad cold. It can still piss you off. Jesus, tap dancing Christ.
I know that this is probably going to be a divisive video because of this last entry, but if that's the case, then so be it. I accept it. None of that really matters anyways. Sociology isn't important. Politics isn't important. The only thing that actually matters is that South Park outpredicted The Simpsons, and that's something that you can never take away from the show. So the next time you're talking about South Park and some annoying butthole says, "Simpsons did it," you just look them right in the eyes, grab them by the nutsack, and say, "South Park did it better."